Omagyanatimanasya Jnansala Shalakya Sakshan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Mutare Shimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paskachai Desatayane. This morning we will read from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3, text 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shastam matrich apatyatvam fritta prapto nasuyaya anviksikim alakaya palada divya uchivan. Shastam matrich apatyatvam fritta prapto nasuyaya anviksikim alakaya palada divya uchivan. Sastam atre apatyatvam fritta prapto nasuyaya anviksikim alakaya paladivya uchivan. Word for word translation. Shastam, the sixth one. Atre of Atre. Apatyatvam, sonship. Fritaha, being prayed for. Prapta, obtained. Anasuyaya, by Anasuya. Anviksikim, on the subject of transcendence. Alakaya, unto Alaka. Pralada, Adibya, unto Prahlad and others. Uchivan spoke. Translation and purport by Abhayacharana Vinaya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The sixth incarnation of the Purus was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others, Yadu, Hayaya, etc. Repeat again. The sixth incarnation of the Purus was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others, Hadu, Hayaya, etc. Purport. The Lord incarnated himself as Dattatreya, the son of Rishi Atri and Anasuya. The history of the birth of Dattatreya as an incarnation of the Lord is mentioned in the Brahmanda Purana in connection with the story of the devoted wife. It is said there that Anasuya, the wife of Rishi Atri, prayed before the Lords Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva as follows. My Lord, if you are pleased with me, and if you desire me to ask from you some sort of blessing, then I pray that you combine together to become my son. This was accepted by the Lords as Dattatreya, the Lord expounded philosophy of the spirit soul and especially instructed Alarka, Prahlad, Yadu, Ahaya, etc. Read the verse once again. Sastam atre apatyatvam vitta prapto nasuyaya anviksikim alarkaya Prahlada divya uchiva. The sixth incarnation of the Purus was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anasuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka, Prahlad, and others. Yadurhaya, etc. Omajnana Timandasya Chanansana Shlaka Shaksharanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shichetanya Manobistam Staptam Yedam Putalishvam Rupakadamyam Dadantishva Padantikam Vandayam Shiu Shiuda Padakamam Shigoram Vaishnavam Sa Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Satvetam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shivishakam Vitam Sa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jatpate Kopesha Kopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Gahira De Vrindavaneshwe Vishabhana Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriya Pankha Kalptrabhasha Kripasinve Vishapadnam Pavanbhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskatai Desakarani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this is the sixth incarnation, Dattatreya. Dattatreya was the son of Atri and Anasuya. Anasuya, she was pure without any envy. So if we look at the gynecological table, then we see we mentioned before that the first human beings were Swayambhuva Manu and Satarupa. And they had three daughters. That Devuti, Akuti, Asuti, and two sons. That's Uttanapat and Priyavrata. And we heard that last, when we spoke about Lord Kapila, that Devuti was married to Kartama Muni, and they had 9 daughters and 1 son. The son was Lord Kapila. These 9 daughters were married to sages, and one of these 9 daughters was Anasuya. Anasuya has been married to Atri. And they got the Supreme Lord Dattatreya as their son. So we are discussing now the first and second canto. That the first and second canto were written and translated by Srila Prabhupada before he came to the West. That's mostly in Vrindavan. in the Radha Damodar temple. And he put everything in it. Everything is practically in it, in its purpose. That so it's very important that we study this first two cantos very deeply. That so we have here Anasuya, pure without envy. That so Atri and Anasuya had 3 daughters, and she gave also birth to 3 very famous sons, Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvas. And that is mentioned in the 4th canto, 4:1-15. Atre Patni Anasuya Triri Sakhi Suya Sasa Sutan Datam Durvasam Somam Atmesha Brahma Sambhavan. Anasuya, the wife of Atri Muni, gave birth to 3 famous sons, Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvas, who were partial representations of Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma. Soma was a partial representation of Lord Brahma, Dattatreya was a partial representation of Vishnu, and Durvas was a partial representation of Lord Shiva. So how came it to the point that she was giving birth to these 3 sons, which were representations of the 3 main deities that has to do with Atri Muni. Atri Muni, he was meditating on the Supreme Lord to get the Supreme Lord as his son, but he was confused with Supreme Brahma, Shiva, or Vishnu, so he was meditating on all of 3 of them. By that, all of 3 became his sons. That it is said Anasuya was non-envious. She made a vow that whatever someone would ask her, she would give, and never ask something for herself. And she was known as very faithful, very chaste. But she had this charitable way of life and she was very chaste. So the wife of Lord Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, which means Lakshmi, Parvati, and Saraswati, they were eager to hear or to learn from Anasuya Pativratya, the chastity, the one husband. And so they asked their husband to arrange for that, but then Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Vishnu, they decided to test the charity, the charitable disposition of Anasuya, to test her, because Anasuya had made a vow that if someone, to give everything someone asked. That so these three deities, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, appeared for her. How is that possible? The Lord appears only for one who is non-envious. That therefore in the Gita we see in the fourth chapter, third verse, Krishna says to Arjuna, I speak this confidential knowledge to you because you are my friend, you are sinless, you are non-envious. That even to receive spiritual knowledge, one must be non-envious. If one has a purpose other than making spiritual advancement, one will receive it externally, but not internally. So the three deities appeared before her, that Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, and they had a request for her. They said, you should, we ask you to feed us, but when you feed us, you should be naked. So that Anasuya thought about it, that and by her mystic power, she turned Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu into 6-month babies. And then she took up her clothes and was feeding them. That's what you see on the picture. So this is how Dattatreya became the son of Atri. But Dattatreya, it's interesting that so there were three. She gave birth to 3 sons. It was mentioned that so these 3 sons were Soma, Dattatreya, and Durvas. But it seems that Dattatreya had especially the features of the 3 other deities. That because in the verse it says, in the purport here it is said, I pray that you combine together to become my son. But she had 3 sons. But interesting, and I don't know it's bona fide, that's a picture of Dattatreya in these 3 forms. So he has 3 heads, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Interesting. That's how it's pictured, but the Bhagavatam seems to be giving a different explanation. It were 3 sons. But interesting for us to learn here is the Anasuya, how she was non-envious. That if we see in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 12th chapter, from verses 14 to 20, all the spiritual qualities are mentioned that are endearing to Krishna. And it starts with Advesta Sarva Bhutanam, one is non-envious of all living entities. Advesta Sarva Bhutanam Maitra Karuna Ivasa, that Nirmamo Nirhankara Samudukha Sukha Xami. Yeah. It means that one is non-envious, nirmamo, non-envious. One can only be a non-envious when one is nirmamo and nirahankar. One must be without false ego and without sense of possessiveness. Because everything belongs to Krishna. From the moment you have a sense of possessiveness, it belongs to me, you are technically a thief. You are envious of the, and envy means I feel sorry, jealous that someone else has something and I want to have it. So the sense of possessiveness is like that I think this is mine, but it's not like that. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even our body. That and Krishna controls everything. And therefore, yeah, we are not the enjoyer, because envy is based on ignorance. That first tamas comes, you forget the Supreme Lord. And that's ignorance. When you forget Krishna, we forget ourselves. We forget our spiritual identity as a servant of Krishna. And then, when you forget that, you have this spiritual amnesia. You look at the world as, oh, this is for my enjoyment. I can exploit all these things for my enjoyment. And then the materialistic life starts. It starts with forgetting Krishna. Because when you forget Krishna, then you think, oh, things are for my enjoyment. And then the possessiveness comes. Mine comes. And as a result of that, we suffer. Because we think that is mine, but everything is temporary and changing in this world. And that causes suffering. That results in the greatest suffering. I'm thinking I'm going to die. But the body is very temporary. That when you go to the shop and you buy some vegetables, then you see expiry date. Our body, all our bodies have an expiry date. Well, expiring at a certain moment. From the time you are birth, that date is fixed. It's already there. And we can try to possess things and enjoy things, but it's all for this body. It is futile. But the basis is envy. So how to solve and come out of this envy? Well, you have to act. You have to do the opposite. Instead of you think this is mine, we should always thinking of giving. Giving love, factually, out of love. The perfection is that giving, doing everything for the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord includes the living entities. So we see therefore that Anasuya was expert she was expert in giving charity, always giving what other wanted. She saw herself only as a servant of everyone else, and that seeing everyone else as part and parcels of Krishna. Now this Dattatreya is also mentioned in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. there Krishna speaks to Uddhav the Uddhav Gita. And one of the first stories of pastimes he tells in the 11th canto is a story of an Avaduta Brahman. That this Avaduta Brahman was a liberated person. And he was wandering into the kingdom of Yadu. And King Yadu went to him and asked Avaduta Brahman, how did you become liberated? How did you come to that position? And the Avaduta Brahman said, oh, I learned from 24 spiritual masters. And then you have the whole pastime of how we learned from 24 spiritual masters, how we learned from the sun, how we learned from fire, how we learned from water, how we learned from a bee. How so many examples that we have given a whole seminar on this 24 spiritual masters, and it's very interesting. But this Avaduta Brahman is Dattatreya, and that's according to Sridhar Swami, that so this is mentioned in 11.932. There it is said. So this Avaduta Brahman has explained that to King Yadu, how he became liberated. So Krishna says to Uddhav, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, having thus spoken to King Yadu, the wise Brahman accepted obeisance and worship from the king and felt pleased within himself. Then bidding farewell, he left exactly as he had come. In the purport it said, Srila Sridhar Swami gives evidence from Srimad Bhagavatam that the Brahman Avaduta was actually the incarnation of Godhead, Dattatreya. So in the Bhagavatam 274 it said, Yat pada pankasaparaga pavitra deha yogartim apo ubayim yadu ayayadya. Many yadus, hayas, etc. became so purified by the grace of the lotus feet of Dattatreya, the Lord, that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. This verse mentions that Yadu was purified by the contact with the lotus feet of Dattatreya. And similarly, the present verse states, Vanditus Varsikorachya, King Yadu worshipped the lotus feet of the Brahman. This according to Sridhar Swami, the Avaduta Brahman is the personality of Godhead himself, and this is confirmed by Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. So this is confirmed by authorities that Dattatreya is only mentioned at the sideline in a few verses in the Bhagavatam. Yes. Mm-hmm. Of course, Dattatreya, that he appeared as the son of Anasuya. So it's an incarnation, and that's what this chapter presents. So many incarnations. But Krishna is an Adi Purush. Every morning we sing, Govinam Adi Purusham, Tamham Bhajami, Adi Purush, means original personality of Godhead. And therefore, Krishna is unique. That Krishna is more than the other incarnations, because it comes to display the eternal pastimes of the Supreme. The other incarnations are mainly engaged in Paritranaya, Sadhunam, Vinasaya, Sadushkritam, Dharma Samstam, Parnataya, Sambhavan, Yuhe, Yuhe. They come to protect the devotees, kill the demons, and establish the principles of Dharma, Krishna consciousness. So we see that Krishna, he appears in Vrindavan and performs eternal pastimes. At the age of 11, he's leaving Vrindavan. He goes to Mathura and finally settles in Dwarka. But his heart is in Vrindavan. Because in Dwarka, Krishna is feeling separation from Vrindavan. This is mentioned in Bprs Bhagavatamrita. This is a book written by Sanatana Goswami, Bprs Bhagavatamrita. And in Bprs Bhagavatamrita, you have, of course, the story where Narada Muni is seeking for the highest, the topmost devotees. And when it comes in Dwarka, it appears Krishna. Krishna is sick. He doesn't get up in the morning. So everyone is concerned. Krishna is not well. But in the Bprs Bhagavatamrita, at a certain moment, Satyabhama, one of the queens of Krishna, says, "Oh, I am sick of this hypocrisy. Everyone knows very well that Krishna is not sick." Because, yes, Krishna at night starts as dreams about his pastimes with the gopis and speaks loudly about it. Anyway, that's and to help Krishna to come over it, they create a Nava Vrindavan, a fake Vrindavan in Dwarka, and it's an interesting story. But Krishna's heart is in Vrindavan, because that's what Krishna is going to show us. He shows us the spiritual world. He brings the spiritual world. For Loka Vrindavan or Bhuma Vrindavan are non-different, and none of the other incarnations do that. And that's a difference, which we will see later. So, thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
As we were talking about Satyabhama, I recently read in one of the book where it is mentioned that Satyabhama is actually Radharani when she left her body. How do we understand that?
That of course we have to understand that Srimati Radharani, like Krishna, Krishna is the 8 Samskalas from San Krishna. Krishna's 2 Bhagavansvayam is the Bhagavansvayam, the original personality of Godhead. And all the other personalities of Godhead come from him. And then you have Srimati Radharani. She is the original devotional energy of the Lord, Ladini Sakti. And all the Lakshmis and all the others, they are expansions from Krishna. So not only Satyabhama, all the Lakshmis, they are all the queens, they are all her expansions. But the difference is Satyabhama, she is in the mood of opulence, the opulence of Dwarka. And she does not have the mood of those in Vrindavan. So the love that they have in Vrindavan is not fully manifested in those of Dwarka. Yeah, that's called, yeah, wedded relationship with Krishna, and aparakia, I think, yeah, and the relation of the gopis, unwedded. That's a higher intensity of love, much higher than those of Dwarka, a different mode. But yes, they are all expansions of Srimati Radharani. Also, all the other gopis and the Astashakis are all our expansions. That, but of course, these Astashakis in turn have their expansions also. So it is quite an advanced subject matter. And in our state, I would say, let's be concerned to understand that we are not a body, and that we realize, make a little advancement. And when we come to these higher levels, we will start to understand it. Krishna will give us the intelligence, because otherwise it's only theoretical knowledge that will not help us very much. Of course, interesting to know, and I thank you for your question. Very nice. Something else?
Yeah, thank you, Maharaj. I only asked because when I was reading, it said that Radharani, out of separation, one day decided to go to Kalia Lake in Vrindavan and give. So she and Lalita Sakhi or Vishaka, they left their body, and sun god took them. They didn't actually leave the body, and that's how she became Satyabhama. So I was wondering, how did both of them existed at the same time?
Yeah.
Or Satyabhama came later?
They are eternal. Leaving of the body is a kind of pastimes, like
yeah.
Yes. So they are eternal. It's difficult to say. Anyway, it's above my realization. Not much I can say about it. No.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was just getting little, as you said, I think that's not much. I was just thinking in terms of time. So I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Something else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
I was just wondering, when you mentioned that Krishna only reveals himself to one who is non-envious.
Yeah.
And I was wondering that sometimes we are on the progressive path, so we are not completely freed of envy as devotees. So sometimes we see that Krishna reciprocates with us. He reveals his beauty. The deities may reciprocate with us. We see his smile. Sometimes he reciprocates with us when we do our services. So he is revealing himself to us in certain ways. So how do we understand? How do we understand that?
Ye yatamam papachanti tamstadeva bachamyam. Krishna reciprocates according to one's surrender. But here, one must be non-envious to see, to have Krishna appeared before him in a spiritual form. So that's another level.
Yeah.
That's another level. But we are all in the process to become non-envious. That we can see if so this envy becomes very subtle. That I see it also sometimes appear in my mind, and I have to correct myself. That tell my mind, you should not think that, but these things come in the mind, because as long as you are still contaminated by the modes of nature, there will be envy. That, unless you are on a liberated platform that's completely pure. If you are not completely pure, means envy is there in some gradation, but you have gradations of envy, and that. So in that way, we can understand that it's not black and white. That I guess something else.
There was one more question about Dattatreya. He is a Vishnu Tattva, or what would we consider which Tattva, because he's combined of all three?
Yeah, it's the three combined. So what can I say? But he's an incarnation of the Supreme Lord. But it's not clear to me whether it's Vishnu Tattva or whether it's Sakya Vesh. It seems both, because Brahma is a living entity. But it's an incarnation. That's for sure. That what kind of incarnation I cannot classify.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Then we see each other on Monday, but this evening we have the Nectar of Devotion class at 7 p.m. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.
Thank you, Maharaj.